Like, I'm not religious per se, but you be making me believe in a God.
Right.
Like, there's no way,
That's actually like the funniest thing you've said. As I can't hear anything you're saying right now, so. But that's what makes you you, you know? And your art that you do. It wouldn't be the same if you were loud, you know? Like, you would just be totally, yeah. I feel like we wouldn't get along if you were loud. But anyway, cheers again to us.
Cheers to life.
To life. Over a warm martini.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like we live in a really, really weird time.
We live in a society.
We live in a society.
And the people are not in the interest of the society.
Yeah.
And capitalism is the devil for sure, but
right.
I do get mad. I will admit, I get mad when like people have like the means to make art without having to worry about money.
Yeah.
But like I don't know.
No, it's a valid frustration. It's tricky because I feel on one hand like yeah, fuck people with money who can do whatever they want because usually they don't do interesting things and you know it's often a wasted resource, but at the same time it's like if you were to make a ton of money out of the blue or like from your art, you know, would that change who you are? Would that change what your art stands for? But I guess it depends, you know, if you come from that already.
I guess I'm just thinking of it in a place where like I wish I could devote all of my time. And time is money, and money is time.
Yeah.
And I just get mad that I can't fully focus my time on my art because I know that it would speed up the process tenfold.
Yeah.
Open E on 3 then 1?
Yeah, so Open was a teenage I'm not all the dead about it at all.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. We need another drink. Another espresso martini.
It's really good.
You want my olive?
Can I?
Yeah, go for it.
I love green olives. I don't like black olives.
I know you do.
Can you eat the whole thing or is there a seed in
There's
it?
probably a pit in it, but
There's a pit in all of us. A bottomless pit in all of
let's
us.
talk about that. Let's unpack it. So my martini is getting warm though. I need to just finish it.
Yeah, I've never met someone like you, obviously, that I feel so connected to, and I feel like it's literally like for our whole life and the next life and the next life.
Truly. Yeah, it's funny because I don't feel like.
And also, like, let me add one more thing. I just feel like our vision for what we want out of life and what we want to bring to the world is so aligned.
Yeah. No, I think you've definitely brought a lot of purpose to my life. I think like like I was talking about earlier, when we met, I was feeling very jaded and very lost, and you were all about, you know, your mantras of love and manifestation and like getting what you want, and you would just speak things into existence, and it kind of blew my mind how you could just like say something and then it would happen. And I just watched it unfold in front of me for like a month after month, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like we sound crazy like saying these sort of like affirmations, especially to other people who like aren't so wired in that way and tapped into it, and like, you know, especially for people who are more negative. But like, it's crazy because I feel like you really changed my outlook on life.
Yay.
And since then, like, everything just, you know, happens as we say it's going to. Donna was talking about how we should go to her psychic.
Here?
In Chicago, but apparently she does like remote calls. But then she was also like, you should probably just find...
I want to do a medium reading in the city, but I feel like there are...
Well, a psychic reading.
No, I want medium. Yeah, I want to talk to Andreas and Stanley and my grandma.
Right.
But I just feel like they would give me the answers. I don't think we sound like crazy though. It's just true. What even is absinthe?
It's a herbal like liqueur.
Is it like very
It's
alcoholic or something?
Extremely alcoholic.
It's more than moonshine?
Probably.
Oh, when Stanley gave us moonshine.
Oh. Never again. I miss those drinks.
Dude, there's like no... Yeah. Like his drinks made me feel so good. And I just can't explain it.
Yeah.
I can't explain him to anyone that didn't meet him.
I know. It's like weird to talk about him now because like
Yeah.
you never... to describe someone like in the past tense like feels really strange.
Yeah.
And especially someone like that, it's hard to like put into words.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, because since he passed and people have been like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like, you know, what, like they would ask about him and I would be like, it's just like, what do you say? Especially about someone who's like a pharmacist and a DJ, and
It's just also the
all the
way that
things in
he
one.
saw so much in us. And like the way that we met him in the last year of his life.
Yeah. When did you meet him?
When I started working at Cafe Forgot.
Oh,
So like I knew him for like a year.
Yeah.
And he was like literally a second father to me.
Yeah, I know. He was like the community father to everyone. I don't even remember the first time that I met him. Like,
I don't either, and that's why it's like special because like
Yeah.
our relationship.
I just felt like it was like it always was.
Yeah, it
you know?
always was,
Like,
and
we
it
would
always will be.
go see him, and he would play his music in the shop.
He was just like us.
He was just like us.
And I feel like I try to embody that every day.
Yeah. Well, that's why I feel like it's important to keep creating
Yeah,
for him.
for sure.
You know, like, and not letting his death be in vain,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like he is still living through us in a way. You know,
Yeah.
like it really is uncanny how like just before he passed, he was talking about how important it was that we pursued music, and like, you know, he was really helping you learn bass and being like, I have hit songs for you guys to write, like that I've written. And just the way that all happened like weeks before his death, you know, it really feels like significant. Like there
Yeah.
was something more going on there.
Like an outside.
Yeah, like
force.
subconsciously he
Yeah.
had this sense that something was
Yeah, I believe
gonna
that.
happen, and he knew that he needed to encourage us, like, and really drive the point home that like it was so important that we continue making music. And even my last text with him was about like your progress and like the band's progress, and it was like him giving his like unwavering support, and it feels so special.
Yeah,
And we need to keep making music.
for sure. We are.
For sure. Yeah.
We've been given the celestial gift of life, and like,
So true.
I'm not gonna work a full-time job. I'm just kidding, but
No, you're not.
I just like feel like the point of life is to have fun. That's the secret, is to have fun.
Yeah, truly.
And like, that reminds me of Andreas.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I try to embody him in a lot of ways. That was one of the things, like, he just linked me to so many people that I love and cherish.
Yeah.
And I want to be that for other people.
Yeah, well, I think again that's like one of your really beautiful qualities is, you see the best in people and you take the best from people and you spread it outwards, and like the way that you were able to do that with a friend who has passed, like that's, I think, the highest form of like respect that you can give to that person.
And something that Stanley told me, if I can remember correctly, is like true happiness lies within the ease and flexibility at which you can move through change.
And what else would you be doing?
Nothing.
Exactly. I feel like they both passed and pushed this message
Yeah, it's
to
weird.
us and to you, like to create, to make music, to follow that. And like even before their passing, it was something that was like very prevalent. Like they knew something we didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's not coincidence.
Yeah.
Like you can't look at it like that. Like
Yeah.
there's your instance of fate right there. I feel like lately I've been thinking a lot about the butterfly effect. And like,
Me too. Wait, really? Because me too.
Yeah, because I just watched a good film that talked about that. It's like the Three Colors Trilogy. It's like a French film, and it all pertains to the French flag. So there's like bleu, blanc, rouge. It's like blue, white, and red, and there's 3 different films. But
Wait, say that again in French.
bleu, blanc, rouge.
Okay.
And Nate and I just went and saw, we had been seeing all 3, and we just watched Red. And that one pertains to the butterfly effect. And like, it takes place in Paris, and it's about this woman, and it kind of follows the life of like her and this other man, and they live right next to each other. They like live across the street in like, in the middle of Paris, and they don't know each other, they never cross paths, yet they're like constantly like, they do cross paths, but they don't know each other, and they never like interact, but they're constantly like in the same places. And I don't know, I think it's really interesting to think about how like really small decisions and like lead into these bigger things in life, and how there are so many people out there that you probably haven't met yet have been around. New York it's actually a really small city.
The world is so small.
And we all probably know each other more than we realize. And it's funny to think about like the serendipities that happen in this city, and like how you probably are, like looking over your shoulder at someone that means nothing to you right now, but like will be very significant.
Will mean everything to you tomorrow.
Exactly. And it's like, it's just a really, again, it's like one of those things that makes you realize like life isn't that serious, and it's...
I just think life is such a gift, and like to be alive at the same time as you is crazy to me.
It really is.
Like, I'm not religious per se, but you be making me believe in a God.
Right.
Like, there's no way,
That's actually like the funniest thing you've said like all day. You'd be making me believe in God. Which one?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's one of them. I think that, the thing that we always talk about is like our purpose in life is to spread love and beauty. And like, that's why we make things. That's why we make art.
I just want to change the trajectory of someone's life.
In a negative way.
No.
In the worst way.
No, of course not. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's all we have. Like, I mean,
'Cause
I feel
some
like we
people-
sound like a broken record at some point. But like, it's like, what else are you going to talk about? The weather?
No.
Like, the economy?
I don't
Who
care. I don't
cares?
watch the news. I can't.
Or
But
poverty?
I just want to bring beautiful things to the people that are in my reach.
You're the Courtney Love of our
And you
generation.
showed me that too. Like, you made me believe in myself a lot.
Stop.
It's true.
I haven't done anything. Just a little.
You've observed and told me. That's more than...
I've just watched from afar.
No, you definitely have helped me a lot in my life.
And you me. And that's what friends are for.
Facts.
It all comes back to love.
Literally.
I feel like we're on a date right now.
I know, I'm like, are we gonna kiss?
Like we're about to make out. Unless.
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
Yeah.
I'm just...
Get another drink in me now.
It's funny how a lot of people think we're like literally a couple.
It doesn't surprise me. If you look at the way we talk to each other, that I offer you the olives from my martinis.
Thank you.
But I think that's a sign of any good friendship,
But
if you're not in love with somebody.
But also, you're also setting the standard for my next partner. No, dead ass, because you've loved me more than like a lot of partners I've ever.
Stop.
So it sets like a higher standard, and I'm very bad at setting boundaries and setting standards.
Right.
But you definitely showed me like that is out there and that exists, and I shouldn't settle ever.
Yeah. I mean the same. Ask her what's in the cigarette.
Oh yeah, okay, well. Did you get a drink?
I ordered for you.
Did you get one though? What time is
Probably like 10 something.
I have a question.
What's up?
What's in the machine in the front?
It's an old cigarette machine, but now it has art in it.
Oh, okay. Cute.
Told you.
Is it like art that's on a cigarette package?
No, but they're all like the same size. There's
Oh,
a couple
okay.
that are just like paintings on blocks. And just, some is like jewelry. It's cool.
That's cute.
You can still get things out of it?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
You got the absinthe drink? It's so cute.
The melancholy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Jewelry. Earrings.
Tokens. Oh, you gotta get tokens at the bar.
It's only $5 for earrings?
I find more now than ever. I feel like walking down the street, I get really, I don't know what word I would like, triggered at the fact that like everyone is so the same. And that people like, I feel like more than ever want to fit in, look a certain way, do a certain thing, and I don't know, it's like, I feel like we live in a time that is really focused on this idea of being like homogenous and popular, like everyone wants to be known, but like for being like everybody else. And you know, you walk through the streets of like, especially in certain parts of the city, and like everyone looks identical, and like you see people, you know, making their like little vapid TikToks or like video, I don't know, like things like that. And I'm like, ugh, it kills me. Like I feel like a lot of people have lost their sense of individuality, and I think it's such a horrible way to live your life. And I think it's like a sickness that a lot of people follow, and wanting to be, like wanting to have like notoriety in, I hate to say like mediocrity, but like a lot of the time that's what it is. It's like, what are you really bringing to the table other than, you know, something really empty? Like, what is that really contributing?
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I look.
like in the age of the influencer.
I find myself always coming back to the question of why.
Why?
Like
Yeah.
why? Why is it relevant? Why are you doing it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a.
I think a lot of the times I also feel like I'm like failing. As like a creative, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm failing because I'm not good at like pretending.
Well,
that
that's like the biggest point of contention I find that I have in what we do is like, you want to have a presence, you know, like you want people, like you're making art, you're making things, you're making music, whatever it is, for the sake of
myself.
wanting to, yourself, but like wanting to also like share that experience with other people.
Yeah.
Yet it's like, okay, you have to post that, you know, like you
You
have,
have
and
to
it's like,
capitalize it.
you have to capitalize, like it's gross, you know, and
But
I
it's
hate
also
that.
just like we all have to make money. Like it's not a choice.
Yeah.
It's
But I
just like
think-
the society. It comes back to the society.
It comes back to the society, but it's like it's
We
really
live in a
sick
society.
when you think about it. How like
It is
you know
sick.
when you bring passion into something that you have to capitalize on, it taints it and it ruins it, and like.
In my
It's so-
experience, it's like I've been like laughed at for having pure intentions. And it's like,
Right.
why? Like, why? That should be the point,
Exactly.
but it's not.
But it isn't.
But it's the way that I don't care that that's not the point. I'm still going to follow my intentions. I'm
Yeah.
still going to be true to myself, and I'm not going to let the outside world harden my heart. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to make it like create an ego for me. Because
Yeah.
that's what capitalism does for a lot of people, is create an ego. And I don't fuck with
absolutely.
it.
Well, because at the end of the day, you have to, you know, rationalize it and think like, okay, if Instagram, like, if the internet were to shut down tomorrow, if Instagram were to take itself off the App Store or whatever, it's like, what would you really have? If all your followers were gone, like, would you still have a sense of identity? Would you still be making
Yes.
things? Would you still be
Yes.
creating? Or like, was it all just for these like made up numbers, you know?
I mean, the numbers don't matter to me, but I do think Instagram is a tool for a lot of creatives. Even me, like that's how I reach
yeah, of
the
course.
people. And I'm not saying I was born in the wrong generation. I think I was born in the right exact time. Like everyone in my life is who I'm supposed to be with, but the secret is to just discover ways where you can do that without
selling out.
without selling
You
out.
know, that's the
yeah.
thing, is so many people are sellouts. They're inauthentic. They do things without asking why.
Without
you know,
intention.
Without intention, and it all comes back to that. It's like, there's so much vapid media out there. There's so much, you know, meaningless content. The world doesn't need more of that. You know, the world doesn't need to see your Zara haul, what you made for dinner. You know, like it's also at some point it becomes really meaningless, and you have to ask yourself, like, why am I doing it?
But I do love the idea, and I've always subscribed to the idea of romanticizing your everyday life, because, as I said, love is like a really big meaning for my life. And I think romanticizing things is vital for carrying on through all the hardships we face.
Where you can't get what you
I'm at Stanley RX drinking Moonshine.
It's like,
I'm scared. One of the first times we hung out, you read me Sylvia Plath poems.
no, it was
Do you remember that?
It was Anne Sexton.
Oh, it was Anne Sexton.
It was Anne Sexton.
I was on Shrooms and you were reading me Anne Sexton.
Yeah, I remember the poem too.
Which poem was it?
It
The-
was
The dog one?
Your Face on the Dog's Neck.
How does it go?
That one I don't have memorized, but it's essentially about Anne Sexton writing about her husband who doesn't pay her enough attention, and she's writing about how he is with the family dog and like is lying on the dog and petting her and giving her like all of this love, and she's spiteful of the dog because she feels like she'll never be the dog and she'll never have that sense of like love and admiration from him, yet he so like admirably gives it to this like flea covered animal. And it's funny that I remember that was the poem that I first read to you when we first met. It was in the Jane Street garden. We sat in that like little triangular park reading poetry. Why did you bring that up?
I don't know.
Because it was important.
It was very important. Because I just felt like I could just be myself
Yeah.
around you, and I don't have to pretend who
True.
I am.
That is funny because I feel like that was one of the very first times we hung out, and we were just like very open with each other, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read you some poems now about like really heavy subject matter, and you were like, okay. And then you were like taking pictures of them, and like I was reading them out loud to you. It was like very personal. Yeah, we had only like hung out a couple of times, and like I don't feel like I've had an experience like that with really anyone. But it was like a very significant moment. And it was also right next to that like French bakery, and we went and got like croissant and like brought it to the park and like had like a nice afternoon. It's really funny too because I don't feel like that is something I would do like with other people, you know, like it's like kind of out of character for me. Like I feel like that was a very personal thing.
I think from the get-go, we were always very comfortable with each other. Like once we had a one-on-one with each other, it was over. Like I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't.
True. It doesn't feel like it was real, you know, like I feel like I've just always known you.
Yeah.
Like it's funny to think there was a time that we met and like started spending time together.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's so romantic.
What if we kissed?
Unless. Wouldn't be the first time. And it won't be the last.
butterfly.